Hey, what's up, guys? Hope everybody's doing well and having a great day. Welcome back to another live stream. Hope everybody's doing excellent today. Everybody survived the tsunami and the very large earthquake that we just had a little over 48 hours ago. We talked about it in depth as it was occurring. We watched the tsunami make its way across the Pacific Ocean. I found a website where people were talking about the experience of the tsunami and in the Hawaii area, along the west coast of California. If anybody else happens to have experienced the tsunami, albeit small, I know it was only like 3 feet, which is that's what we anticipated in California. In fact, here's some of the numbers that I received from my friend Nelson out of North Carolina. Nelson Jinks ran across this information. If anybody has any input, that's what we're going to do in this live stream. But I do have some important updates to share with you guys on areas that could see more earthquake activity. I don't think this is done. In fact, I think it's just getting started. Top 5 areas that could see a large earthquake here in the near future. Also, we're going to take a look at the west coast of the Pacific and the ongoing swarm. There could be more earthquake activity in the same exact location. Fireballs going loco all over the world. A swarm in Southern California. A new swarm in Southern California. Soho update. Skybeam update. I wanted to touch base on the sky beams. But first over here, this is a screen grab that Nelson sent me. These are some preliminary, this is after the fact, but as the tsunami did make its way to the west coast of the United States, north of in Northern California, in Crescent City, California, they were saying a wave arrived that was 3.6. It was a measurable tsunami. 3.0, Arena Cove, California. 1.6 in Point Reyes, California, and in Monterey, 1.4. So by the time the wave got here, in these locations, it wasn't that big. I did hear someplace saw a 6-foot tsunami possibly up in Oregon. Can anybody confirm or deny that? Is that true? Mount Hood in Oregon is releasing smoke. Thank you, 777 Club. That's one thing I wanted to talk about. Following all of this very strong activity that we've seen, and we're going to look at a graph in this video that shows the primary wave energy making its way throughout the Pacific, across Canada, the United States, Central America, and eventually all around the world. But as a viewer just said, Mount Hood is releasing smoke now. There could be more volcanoes waking up following this very large-scale event. You're looking at a map of the Pacific Ring of Fire. This is the most volcanic activity. This is the location of the most volcanoes on Earth, right here in this concentrated area, all around the New Zealand area, up through the Philippines, all along the coast of Japan, through Japan, up through the west coast of Russia, where we just saw the 8.8, and there's a volcano erupting there now as well. I wanted to show you guys the volcanic activity up in Alaska. There are over 50 earthquakes erupting in the Aleutians of Alaska. Now we're seeing activity over here in the western United States. As someone just said, Mount Hood is releasing smoke. The volcanoes go all the way down through Mexico, Central America, South America, all the way down to the southern tip of South America, even in Antarctica of all places. Antarctica. Volcanoes in Alaska, just in the Aleutians. Right here's a list. All the ones you see with the orange exclamation point here, these are all active volcanoes right now in Alaska. You can click on any of them and it'll take you right to the volcano. Very cool website here. This is what's going on in Alaska. We're keeping an eye on this because we're watching for more and more volcanoes to become active following this very significant event. Let's go to Redoubt. Let's click on Redoubt, and the link will take us to Redoubt volcano, which is right here. Here's the data on the volcano, and it is considered active. Current activity, active right now. Green, code green, it's normal, but it is active. Once again, there's over 50 in Alaska alone, active volcanoes. We're probably going to see more. Some hot spots that could see earthquakes coming up here in the next month, maybe 2 months, maybe before the end of the year, maybe even sooner. These are areas that, in my opinion, could see earthquake activity in the coming, like I said, couple of months. And that would be the Kamchatka Trench over in Alaska, right here, in fact, Kamchatka, where there's been a massive swarm. There's a swarm in East LA, believe it or not. They're saying that the 8.8, let me find the article real quick. Here's a look at the sun. The sun is getting more and more active, which is going to add energy to all of this energy that's swarming the earth. But I wanted to share something with you guys. They're saying, here we go. This is an article over here at Reuters. Massive Russian earthquake struck on a megathrust fault. Check this out. They're saying that the Pacific plate is moving, and you know what? We had just talked about that. Our friend Graham over here mentioned that in the chat room. We were talking about the Pacific plate moving to the north, and that's what this is implying, that it's moving 80 millimeters a year. Probably moved 80 millimeters just the other day. Shallow depth of quake caused tsunami warnings. We know that all across the Pacific Ocean. But here's the thing. Check this out. Bigger aftershocks could be in the offing. Watch. Bigger aftershocks cannot be ruled out. So we could see in this area right here an earthquake even bigger anytime. Now moving forward. This area, you can see the orange circles. Those are earthquakes in the last 24 hours. This place, it's not done yet, guys. It's not done yet. And I wanted to show you guys something that's just started today. There's a new swarm. We've been talking about swarms in Southern California. I'm telling you, energy is swarming, especially the Northern Hemisphere, but not limited to the Northern Hemisphere. The Southern Hemisphere is seeing it as well. East Los Angeles, are you serious? There was a 4.4 there within the last 24 hours, and it was followed almost immediately by another earthquake. Let's see how the swarm's doing. I haven't been here in about an hour. Okay, the orange circles you see are earthquakes in the last 24 hours. Why isn't my zoom staying on? Let's stay on, buddy. There you go. West Casamalia Street, North Riverside Avenue. There are 20 earthquakes right here in this area. 20. This is the latest one right here. 1.4, it's small, but nevertheless, it's part of an ongoing swarm in East LA. I believe the strongest being a 4.4. Let me see if I can find it. It's been downgraded slightly to a 4.3, but it was super shallow and right around 3 miles deep. So more than likely, this was felt by people in the East Los Angeles area. Anybody in here that's from the East Los Angeles area that felt the earthquake today? A 4.4 followed by, you can see them here, a 2.4, 1.2, 1.1, several smaller ones, 2.5. Wow. And this one here just happened within the last hour on Sierra Lakes Parkway, right next to the parkway. Are you serious? I wonder if people driving down the road felt these earthquakes. Did anybody feel the earthquake in Los Angeles today? Especially the 4.4. I'm not implying that the smaller quakes were felt, but this one here probably was, because look, it was right in the middle of a densely populated area. Wow. So again, we've been talking about the swarming in Southern California. Southern California is known for earthquakes. That's not a secret. It's been doing that since I've been following earthquakes all these years. But to see the swarms kind of moving around, even saw a swarm up in the Sierra Nevadas the other day, which was kind of unusual, but not necessarily unheard of. But that's a new swarm right there. Once again, in East Los Angeles, 20 earthquakes just today. So we're watching this area also very, very closely. We're also watching the Yellowstone supervolcano caldera the very best that we can. Going up, there's the Great Salt Lake. In fact, the largest supervolcano is right down here. It's not active, like Yellowstone's not active, but it's like super quiet. But that's the location of the largest supervolcano in the United States. Here's what's going on at Yellowstone with regard to earthquake activity. Typical day, not anything big, but there have been earthquakes today, small ones in the western Yellowstone area over into Idaho, which is the same pattern that we've been seeing now for the last 2 months, 3 months, but it's the seismographs that have everybody mystified. The seismographs are, for the most part, still offline. I know they're in a transition phase with their hosting server, but nevertheless, the seismographs over here, when they went offline, was back here on the 16th into the 15th into the 16th. And that's when this seismograph was showing all kinds of unusual, highly unusual, very mysterious activity. It hasn't been online since. So it's a bit of a mystery, and it's created a conspiracy, you know. People are showing, at least one person in particular, is showing some movement at the supervolcano or in the area of the supervolcano, not necessarily directly on the caldera, but around the caldera. A gentleman's been showing some videos of unusual movement. Hey, Graham, what's up? Thank you for the super chat. Has something affected the inner or outer core? I think so, Graham. I think something's affecting the inner core. I really do. I think something's affecting the inner core. Could be a lot of things. When the sun, which is it's getting amped up right now, when it starts, there's a giant sunspot. I talked about this the other day, and I've got my note card here, and I got about 20 tabs. Actually, I got more than 20 tabs open up here. So if I pause for just a second, no, I'm trying to find my way. I've got a lot of stuff that I want to share with you guys, and I want to touch base on the lights that I shared with you guys that look like they're going across the sky. I want to offer some perspective on that because some people are just insistent that these are stadium lights from the ground, and I'm 99.9% confident that they're not. But here's a look at the sun's activity just in the last 36 hours. And you can see a prominence came off right there, and then there was a filament eruption that came off the northwestern limb of the sun. In fact, I think I have a video to show that the sun is indeed waking up. The sun's vibration has changed here in the last 36 to 48 hours from a massive sunspot on the backside of the sun. This is what's happening. I think it's triggering activity over here on the Earth-facing side of the sun. This wasn't necessarily Earth-facing. This occurred just as the sunspot and active region turned away from the Earth. So this would be on the right-hand side of the sun, which would be considered the west. This would be up in the northwestern part of the sun. That is a massive filament that erupted off the northwestern limb of the sun just a few hours ago. And it did send a CME, but it's not going to be headed towards the Earth, at least directly. If you use this instrument, this spacecraft that monitors the sun, it's called the SDO, the Solar Dynamics Observatory. It's been in orbit since 2009, 16 years. And I've been following it every step of the way for 16 years. Every once in a while, you'll see the moon come into the field of view here. And every once in a while, you'll see this. And I remember years ago, the first time I saw this, I just knew that something mysterious had went in front of, at least in between the spacecraft and the sun, right? Well, it wasn't anything necessarily mysterious at all. I did some research on the orbit pattern and personality of this spacecraft, and every once in a while, for repositioning purposes and things like that, this spacecraft will maneuver. They all do maneuvers. The SOHO does maneuvers, Stereo does maneuvers, and this one does maneuvers as well. It calibrates its position 2 or 3 times a year. Well, this was one of those times that it calibrated, and when it does, it goes behind the Earth. And when it goes behind the Earth, it's still filming the sun, but the Earth will come into the field of view in between the satellite spacecraft and the sun. You can see the Earth's atmosphere right there. So what you're looking at is the Earth. Right there, that's the atmosphere of the Earth. This is a different format right here. That's the atmosphere of the Earth. Isn't that weird? So this thing is swinging around behind the Earth. This is an entirely different format. That little wiggle you saw right there, that was the spacecraft moving around the Earth, recalibrating is basically what it's doing. And you're going to see, again, the Earth come into the field of view. Right there, it's a little difficult to see because it's an inverted format. But the tall, discombobulated feature you see on there, that's simply the atmosphere of the Earth. When the moon comes in between this spacecraft and the sun, you don't see an atmosphere. The moon doesn't have an atmosphere like this here. That's the Earth. It's not anything nefarious. I know sometimes when that shows up, and it's only maybe a couple of times a year, People will think that Planet X is here, or there's something nefarious in the solar system. I just wanted to offer some clarity, that's all, because that does show up from time to time. Here's the massive sunspot that's turning towards the Earth, and this could be a game changer. We've already seen an 8.8 magnitude earthquake that sent a shock wave around the world, created a massive tsunami that traveled thousands of miles. Thankfully, it wasn't any bigger than what it was. It could have been a lot bigger. It really could have. But once this sunspots always interact with the Earth and get the Earth stirred up with regard to volcanic activity. Sometimes it's minimal, sometimes it's considerable. And even earthquake activity always affects earthquake activity. This is a huge sunspot that, again, changed the entire oscillation, the way the sun vibrates. That's so big. And I think that's what stirred up this activity that we've been seeing coming off of the sun just today in the last 36 hours, this activity here. So this is what's turning towards the Earth. The sun is indeed waking up. Keep in mind, we are still in solar maximum. Solar maximum's a series of peaks and valleys, just like everything else. And every once in a while, solar maximum goes into a valley. It's going to come out. It's coming out now. So this could trigger new earthquake activity, new volcanic activity around the world. Keep in mind, the Cascadia subduction zone. It's overdue. It hasn't had a full rupture since 1700. It could be affected because of what just happened over here in the Western Pacific. The 8.8. You know things are on the move. The Earth rang like a bell that day. If you look at the seismographs, and we're going to look at the ones that we have access to, they're still very busy. They're not jet black because the earthquake, the 8.8, has already ran off the chart, but it stayed on the charts. These are 24-hour graphs. They were on there for the better part of 36 hours, the black signature from the 8.8 earthquake. We're still seeing activity in these seismographs. These are seismographs positioned all around the world. China, Dominican Republic, Jamaica, Barbados, Panama, just to give you an idea where these are scattered around. And then there's an entire fleet of seismographs that aren't online down here. Peru, Cape Verde, South Africa, Australia. I used to visit these all the time. In fact, there should be one down here. Japan's a good one to have access to. There's one down here in Antarctica, but we don't have access to it anymore. It's not online, and I don't know why. But those are all offline. These are the ones over here in the United States. Again, up here in Wyoming and Montana, these seismographs are showing unusual signatures, like there's a unusual tilt going on in the Wyoming, Montana area with regard to the ground. And there very well could be, but you can see these seismographs are still showing a lot of energy. This is energy from the aftershock activity over here in the Western Pacific. Right here, this energy is still making its way all around the world. Primary waves, secondary waves, and I want to show you guys something with regard to, it's a really neat visual. Let me see if I can find it. It's right here. Here we go. This is a visual of the primary wave following the large 8.8 magnitude earthquake that was a mere 11 miles deep. Watch the energy, this is an animation, move away from the area as it went through Alaska, through Canada. Let's see if I can make this bigger. There we go. Through the United States. And again, the energy, we just looked at what was left of it on the seismographs. It wasn't strong enough to be felt by people over here in Canada and the United States, but it was easily picked up on seismographs all across the United States. In fact, I showed you guys the day of the earthquake, seismographs all around the world picked up that energy. So we've seen that before in the past. We followed the energy many years ago with regard to the large earthquake in Japan, the Honshu earthquake that created the very large, massive tsunami. That was a big deal. But it too sent shock waves all around the Earth. The seismographs around the Earth turned black like the ones that we saw following the 8.8. Something else I found interesting. Check this out. Buoys are still in event mode over 48 hours later. Look at the Pacific Rim. Are you serious? They're still showing energy going through the ocean. So the ocean is still unsettled. following the 8.8. And there could be another one in the offing. It wouldn't surprise me at all. It really would not surprise me at all. The Kuril-Kamchatka Trench, that's obviously the number one place where that's the hot spot right now. Cascadia, the Philippine Trench or Manila Trench is another place that could see some activity coming up. These are just like my top 5 that I'm kind of considering right now for the very strong possibility, especially when this sunspot turns towards the Earth. These areas could see earthquake activity. The Turkey-Syria fault system, and then the down in Chile, they haven't seen a big earthquake in a while. They're known for big earthquakes down in Chile and Peru. In fact, one of the largest earthquakes ever recorded came from right down here along the coast of Chile. And as you can see, remember the day of the 8.8? This buoy was not in event mode, nor were any of these down here around Central America or South America. They're in event mode today. 2 days later, that was one big powerful earthquake that's still sending energy around the Earth, guys. And we could see more activity coming up as this sunspot turns towards the Earth. This is probably going to be visible here in the next 48 hours. We'll start to see it. I'll show you guys where we'll see it first. Hang on just a second. Let me go over here to the homepage of the website. Have an awesome photo to share with you guys. Wow. Okay, here we go. Going to the SDO. This is obviously one of my favorites, right? Okay, the sunspot is back here. We can't see it yet, but it's right in the same general area as this one. It's just farther back. It's back here. So it's coming. We'll probably be able to start to see it in about 48 hours. Today is Thursday. Guess what tomorrow is? It's Friday again. It's like time is going so fast. Y'all feeling time moving by faster? Or is it just us over here? I know a lot of you say that you're feeling it too. We definitely feel it. And guess what? Tomorrow is Friday again. We were just talking the other day. It's Monday, and soon enough, Friday will be here. Yep, it's right around the corner. Unbelievable. So this big sunspot is also right around the corner. So as it turns towards the Earth, look for an increase in earthquake activity. Look for an increase in volcanic activity. Here's a look at Mammoth Hot Springs up near the Yellowstone supervolcano caldera. This is called the Mammoth webcam. We can't really see too much here, but you can kind of see out away from the caldera. Got some other information. Here's Joseph's Coat. This is a seismograph at the Yellowstone National Park. Look at the last few hours. Look at the signature here. See like the sway, how it kind of goes down. And then in the 20th hour, there's no data. So it's almost as if it's detecting some sort of rogue energy. It's just a sign of the times. There's a lot going on. I wanted to give you guys a quick update on the comet. At least what I know right now, it's getting closer to Mars or in the vicinity of Mars. I haven't seen any new, very specific data. I expect a new update by the first part of next week. This is the same video format that I used the other day, and it's not showing any type of a tail, any type of a coma, sublime activity going on. Doesn't really look like a comet to me, but that's just my own personal opinion. One thing that's going to be a telltale sign regarding that object is if it slows down. If it has the ability to slow down on its own, then all bets are off. It's obviously an intelligently designed craft. If it can slow down or accelerate, we'll have to see. Not necessarily accelerate. That can happen if it comes close enough to a planet, but we're going to see if this thing can slow down. And if it does, whoa, that's a game changer. Speaking of game changers, these show ground movements. These are some graphs that were shared with me the other day, and you can see this is ground movement at the Yellowstone supervolcano caldera. We're looking at a instrument right over here on the west side of the lake. This one right here highlighted in red with the white square in the middle. If you go down and look at the graph, this is called a crustal displacement graph, or graphs. There's several of these here, and they're positioned around. This is new information, guys, from the supervolcano, at least new to us. I haven't shared this with you guys, but notice the upward movement down here of this graph. See how it's been trending upward? And this is the last 90 days. It's trending upward. So it's almost as if there's a a force at work underground, according to this graph. Now, this isn't a seismograph, telling us that there's activity in the magma chamber under the supervolcano. What? Oh yeah, this is breaking news here. Here we go. Here's another one we're going to check out. We're going to look at the last 90 days. This is the crustal displacement graph. We're going to look at the last 90 days. No data. And that's another thing that I've been running into. Let's look at the past 30 days. No data. I've been finding a few of these that show no data. So that just goes back a year. So let's go in a little closer, see if we can find something that's got recent data. Let's try this one here. This one's at the lake. Let's see what it's showing. Past 90 days. We like 90 days. No data. Come on. No data. Are you serious? No data for 30 days. No data for 90 days. Let's go past year. A little bit. And you can see in the past year, the upward movement, there was a downward trend and then an upward trend. So not anything going straight vertical, which is good. We know we don't want to see that, but we just want to see what's going on. The seismographs are sparse. I mean, I have a website that can show me some seismographic activity, but it's not, I don't know, it's kind of complicated, I guess. Past 30 days here. Again, this is a crustal displacement graph. Past 90 days, again, trying to get information from the Yellowstone supervolcano is not really easy anymore. Used to be able to just hop on there every day, and we would do it every video. We'd hop on the mighty supervolcano caldera. Every video, man. This is a hotspot. We keep track of those seismographs because they tell us a story, a very important story. And it's a story we don't want to miss. So we're missing the story right now, man. It's story time, and we're not able to join the story. So here we go. This is another one. I'm looking for 90-day activity. Past year, barely. 30 days, no. But I did find that one that I shared with you guys. This is, again, a crustal displacement graph that did show some movement north of the caldera in an upward direction. Let me see if I can find it again. Again, getting information from here has been a little bit challenging. I think it was right here. Yep, right there it is. Hey, Polenta Forest, thank you for the super sticker, Polenta. Okay, 90 days, 30 days. Where did that go? Thank you, Polenta Forest. Maybe it's right here. Is it? Nah, where'd it go? Now it's hiding from me. Oh, I think it was this one here, NTN. No, well, we're going to come back to that later because we got some other things I want to talk about. Obviously, the earthquake struck on a megathrust, they're now saying. There could be bigger aftershocks in the coming days. I would not be surprised at all once the sun gets turning towards the earth that large aftershocks may be there, or we could see an altogether large earthquake somewhere else around the world. And I talked about the areas that I think could see activity. Chile, Peru, Turkey, Syria, Philippine Trench or Manila Trench, Cascadia subduction zone, and then the current location that we're at right now. Definitely could see another even bigger aftershock. Hopefully not, but if it does, you know it's gonna be a rinse and repeat of what we just saw a couple of nights ago. Possible tsunami again, making its way across the Pacific. I mean, that was a long, long night. I mean, I know even the tsunami traveling at 500 miles an hour, it took several hours for it to get all the way across the ocean. And we were watching a buoy over here. Remember this? In fact, I kept my note. In fact, I got my note card out. I know it's a little difficult to see, but right here's my note card from July 22nd. And I wanted to go back and just use this as a point of reference because on July 22nd, we were talking about, remember this here? A rogue buoy near the swarm, the 7.4, when it first started, following the 7.4 magnitude. This was on 7/22. There was a buoy out here misbehaving. Remember that? That's how we talked about it, a buoy misbehaving. It was showing movements of over 100 feet. Like the seafloor was kind of maybe going up and down very slowly, not enough to cause a tsunami. And I'll be darned, that was the 22nd. And on the 29th, 7 days later, one of the biggest earthquakes recorded in the last 125 years. Following the earthquake, check this out. I know we're in meteor showers, but these meteor showers, honestly, I mean, yes, they're yearly meteor showers, but they're only showing meteors at the rate of, right here, 1 per hour. And that's if you happen to see it. And that's the Capasignids, the Draconoids, 1 per hour, 1 meteor per hour. The Alpha Capricornids, I think that one's 3 per hour. That one's a little more active. So we are in the middle of the Southern Delta Aquarids, the Alpha Capricornids, and the Perseids. Right now, through August 30th on the Perseids, August 12th and August 12th, both on the Aquariids and Capricornids. But the peak has just passed. But since the volcanic eruption, look at the list of fireballs that have been seen around the world since the 8.8 earthquake. Here's one list. These are from around the world, and then another list is, I believe, in the U.S. Yeah, primarily the U.S. On this one here, 1,826 in the last 30 days. But we want to just focus on the last couple of days. And this one here is part of the list of 198. This was in Bahrain, over in Colombia. There was an increase of fireball activity down below the equator. And then check this one out. 198 reports since the large earthquake. Now, is it related or is it just a coincidence? Because we're in the meteor shower. Maybe coincidence, but that is an uptick. Like maybe we are in a debris field because this is still ongoing. There have been reports come in on the 31st, depending on where you're at in the world. The 30th, last night, people sent in several reports to the American Meteor Society from Italy, US, Australia. Where's this one at? This is in ES. Canada, Denmark, more Denmark. All of these here, that's page 2. Let's go to page 1. So actually over 200 in the last 48 hours. And again, guys, these are just the reports. So you know if there were 200 reported, there were probably 2,000 because the vast majority of these come in the atmosphere above water because the Earth is 70% water. We don't occupy all the Earth. We just occupy a very small fraction of the Earth. Even though we have big major cities like Los Angeles, Chicago. Why is my phone ringing? What is going on here? I have no idea what that was. We still only occupy a very, very small percentage of the landmass of the Earth. So the majority of the meteors and fireballs that enter the atmosphere go unnoticed. So to have an increase, like right here, this is when I was talking about 31st, you're going to see a lot of reports from the 31st. These have been coming in at a pretty fast pace. Again, Denmark's been a hot spot. Great Britain, Italy, New Zealand, the United States, several places, Arizona, Colorado, all across the United States. I think I counted the states and there were 40 states reporting in the United States. Almost all the states in the U.S. reporting some sort of meteorite activity in the last 48 hours. And this page right here is just the 30th and 31st. Last night during the overnight hours. So again, tonight, going into the 1st of August, it's hard to believe. I'm telling you, it is so hard to believe that tomorrow is August 1st. It seems like I just sat down and I got my note card. In fact, I can probably find it laying over here in the stack. Here's my stack of note cards. Guys, I keep note cards over here. I have to. It helps me tremendously. I can probably find one that I put the date on them. See the date there? This one's 7/22. I can probably find the one over here from July 1st. And it's already July 31st. It's like, whoa, time is going by so fast. Or it's our perception of time. Wow, that's all I can say. Time is moving by faster. It just seems like it really and truly is. But anyway, there's been an increase, obviously, in earthquake activity, an increase in fireball activity around the Earth. showing some unusual movement. Once again, some crustal displacement on one of the graphs, not all of them, but one of the graphs up here at the Yellowstone supervolcano caldera. I showed you guys that at the beginning of the video. Where are we at here? Oh, here's the position of, well, that's not the JPL. Where's the JPL? We want the JPL. Ah, there you are. This is the good one right here. And this is today. So there's the position of the interstellar object that's joined our family out here from another star. How about that? This doesn't happen every day. Holy cow. I can't pronounce it. I'm so sorry. Hey, what's up, Mez? Thank you for the super chat. Crazy to think we know more now about the surface of the moon and Mars than what's at the bottom of the ocean. You know what? You're right. Very good point. We haven't been able to, at least we're told, study the vastness of what's in all of the oceans of the earth. I mean, I don't think we've studied all the land. It's a massive undertaking. It really is. Here's the position, or it would be a massive undertaking. I personally would use satellites if I was in charge, and I would find the most unique. I would scan every ocean time and time again. And if I found something interesting, I would have crews of archaeologists, scuba divers, and stuff like that. I would have this place dialed in. I would build a library that was earthquake proof, volcano proof. There would be a historic library of all the known history that we know about that would be available forever. Like the seed vault that they made up in the Arctic. That's what I would make. I would make a library. Because all of our history, the vast majority of it that goes way back, we have to dig up out of the ground. Don't you find that a little odd? Yeah, we have to dig it up out of the ground. So anyway, here's the comet coming in like an airplane, coming in on a horizontal plane, which is equal to the ecliptic plane that the planets orbit around the sun. It's coming in on that type of an angle, not steep like we see typically. This is not a typical comet. No way. But there's where it's at. And you can see where it's headed. It's like it's coming in and it wanted to investigate, check out Mars. There's how close it's going to be. It's going to zip right past Mars. Isn't that wild? They said they couldn't have planned this out better with a computer. It was almost as if it was planned out with a computer eons ago, and this thing's going to zip through the solar system between Jupiter, Mars, and Venus. Hide behind the sun so that we over here at Earth can't see it when it's at its close approach. But there it is right there. Moving at a staggering, I think it's now at 147,000 miles an hour. That alone is incredibly fast. Wow, that's all I can say. I think I do have an update on that, a small update. They did say that it was 7 miles wide now. They've confirmed that they thought it was 12. Now they're leaning more towards 7. So that's still the biggest that's ever entered the solar system from another star. That's big. That's 7 miles wide. You could drive your car around it with no problem. No problem at all. You could build a city on there with no problem. Good grief. I wanted to show you guys something, this photo over here at the homepage of the website that was sent in by Amy H. Topsail Island, North Carolina. Are you serious? Right now. Look at that. Now that's something you don't see every day. What a cool photo. From the East Coast. Storms rolling through apparently on the 28th. This is from the Surf City Pier. Looked out and saw a water spout, and they happened to, I don't know if they were taking a video and the lightning occurred and they just stopped it on this particular segment, but that is cool. You got a water spout and a huge, thick lightning strike occupying almost the same space. How about that? What an incredible photo. So incredible. I posted it over here at the homepage of the website today. You can find that over here. You can also find all kinds of other fascinating things at the homepage of the website. Quick update on the hurricanes. Here we go. 0 chance of hurricane activity in the next 5 days. I'm going to keep you guys updated all hurricane season long. We're going to do them in 5-day increments. I'll give you an update every day, but I don't want to go past 5 days because weather forecasts can change pretty drastically, pretty quick, especially nowadays. So right now, I'm confident in saying no activity in the Atlantic. Caribbean, the Gulf, and primarily is because of and you guys are well aware, we've been talking about this for a few weeks now. This here, the giant plume of Sahara sand. You can see it's gotten bigger just in the last 36 hours. Well, last 48 hours since I was on last. Look at that. That is just nasty. That's just nasty. That's headed towards the Caribbean. It'll probably make its way, or at least part of it, up into the Gulf. What activity we have seen this year has been over here in the Pacific. Understandably so, because the Atlantic, the environment is just totally not conducive for hurricane activity. Sir Skelt, I have something of yours, Sir Skelt, that I'm working on. Your name just rang a bell when I saw. Thank you for the super chat, by the way. I'm working on something of yours. I have it almost ready. It'll be ready in not this video, but the next video. Thank you for sending that in. That was super cool. Here's a look at the dust in color, guys. That's all. It's the same thing as this right here. This is the dark tans, are the thicker components of the Sahara dust that goes aloft every year around peak sun, July or June 22nd, 23rd, and it drifts the 4,000-mile journey. In fact, farther than that. It goes inland. You can see it crossed Florida, Texas, getting a big gulp of sand here in the last 24 hours. Those of you in Texas probably noticed some unusual sunrises and sunsets there for about 24 hours yesterday and part of the day before. Today's been pretty clear, but you can see there's another huge wave making its way, and it's going to be like that all the way through the fall. As the sun makes its way back down towards the equator, it will stay like that through September. And this used to be the main development region right through here for hurricanes, but hurricanes can't form in that environment. It's too dry and it's too windy. Two things that hurricanes do not like. So no hurricanes in the next 5 days, guys, over there. Now, over in the Pacific, yeah, there could be some activity. Of course, conditions are much more favorable, but they're not going to interact with land. At least they shouldn't. So I'm not even going to waste my time on those because they're not going to affect you. They should not affect people in general. Mount Rainier, again, this is showing signs of increasing. I don't know if it's got any smoke coming out the top. Can anybody confirm if Mount Rainier is showing any signs of activity other than these swarms? This ongoing swarm. 1,180 now. And this is today. I just updated this a couple hours ago. There's the top. Most of the activities at the summit of Mount Rainier, which is, I believe, just over 14,000 feet high. This thing here, the activity is getting stronger and stronger by the day. Every day I update that, the frequency increases. So once this big sunspot turns towards the Earth, I look for that number to increase exponentially. Wouldn't surprise me if it got up to 2,000. If it gets up to 2,000, I would say that would be the trigger number, the activate number. If it gets up to 2,000, then we're probably going to start to see some sort of activity other than small earthquakes. That means it's probably getting ready to rumble. I would say 2,000. This activity over here is not even near done. There have been a whole series of aftershocks in the 5 range. Every once in a while, a 6 will come up. They're saying that there could be an aftershock bigger than 8.8. Keep in mind, there was a 7.4 there not too long ago, and then the 8.8. So could we see one stronger? That's what they're saying. Wouldn't surprise me at all. Look at this one here. Are you serious? This just occurred today. How about this? This is all the way up at the 73, almost 74 degree north latitude, Baffin Bay. That just occurred today. Guys, this area up here is not known for its earthquake activity, okay? So there's something going on, and people are just waiting. People literally are waiting on the next big event. They really are. That's a big deal right there. An earthquake up in that area? Come on, man. That's parallel with the Arctic Ocean. I mean, I've seen earthquakes up there, but not anything like that. That's a 5.0. Was it deep? 10 kilometers, the 06.2. There was just an earthquake right there. 4.8, Toba, Japan. Wow. Yep, 4.8, Toba, Japan. So the energy is still moving around the Earth, guys, and it's not going to take much because the Earth is highly sensitive right now. Man, I'm telling you, when this big sunspot turns towards the Earth, things could get really interesting. We'll just have to wait and see. Hopefully, it'll be like this last one where nobody was injured. That was the only good thing about the earthquake. It was a record-setting earthquake. It was the 6th strongest, tied for number 6, the 6th spot. It also, this area here, holds the record for number 5. So this area is number 5 and number 6 with regard to the strongest earthquakes ever recorded since 1900, the past 125 years. Overall, it was one of the strongest earthquakes ever recorded on the Earth. So that was a big day. It was a big deal. But what was an even bigger deal, nobody got hurt. Yeah, that's what we like. We don't mind these big events like this. This is just how the Earth is engineered. We're going to have more. We're going to have big volcano eruptions. We're going to have big earthquakes. We're going to have big hurricanes. That's just how this place works. And we can't change that. But we can just get out of the way. And hopefully, if there's another 8.8, 8.9, whatever the case may be, nobody gets hurt. That's the biggest thing of all. That's what we like. There have been earthquakes all across the country. Nebraska? You talk about earthquakes in diverse places. I mean, central Nebraska. You really can't get much more center than that. Albeit small, 2.4. But that's an earthquake in Comstock, Nebraska. Earthquakes in north central Kansas. Northeast of Hayes, 2.9. 2.8, Hill City. And they're all shallow, 6.2. That one in Nebraska came in about 5. So 5 depth and a 6.2, 6.2. And then north of Quebec, that's obviously very rare out there in the middle of that canal. What was that, about a 2.5, 2.6? 17 kilometers deep, so around 9 miles deep. But again, those are earthquakes that don't normally happen. This one up here, hey, Pat S., Star Family member for 20 months. Thank you, Pat. If you guys want to become a Star Family member, the link's in the top of the chat. I thank you in advance. Thank you, Pat. That's super cool. Earthquake up in New Zealand. That is nuts. There's an earthquake over in Iceland, too. They're not bashful. They're going all around the Earth. Not only in the northern, but southern hemisphere as well. 5.1, Iceland, 727. 4 days ago. 6.2 miles deep. Another shallow one, but Iceland is also a hot spot for volcanic activity. Okay, guys, I wanted to touch base on it with something real quick. Then we're going to come back to the homepage of the website. Go down here to my banners. Oh, I've got a UV reading first. UV for the people that are interested in the UV, ground level ultraviolet sunlight. I took a reading today, and I got my reading from Darren right here up in Abbotsford, British Columbia. This one here he took yesterday on the 30th. This one's more in the general parameters for his location, right around 9.8. Well, it was exactly 9.83. That's considered high UV, but it is summertime in the northern hemisphere, so I wouldn't consider that out of bounds. Now, down here in Phoenix, today was unusually higher than the reading up in Abbotsford. Normally, it's reversed. His readings are normally higher than mine. I'm at the 33-degree north latitude. He's at the 50-degree north. Normally, the higher up you go, the lower the UV. So today, I took this at high noon. 11.93 was my high reading. It stores the highest number right here, 11.93. So that's almost a 12. That's considered extreme UV. And then over here on the right, this is the UVC instrument. That is considered trace UV. It's a 0.04. It should be detecting 0.00. It is what it is, guys. I don't know what to say. It shouldn't be detecting anything. It's a trace amount. It's been doing that for 3 years. It's very consistent. You know, in the summertime, it may get up there to, and that's not very high. I mean, that's in milliwatts. That's 0.04. If it was in micro, it'd be 0.0004. So it's very, very small. It's a very small amount, but that's a little unusual. That's all I can say. And the skies out here today were all blue, not a cloud anywhere for miles. That's just a reflection from the sun. I didn't take a picture of the sun. I took a picture right next to it. And the skies up in Abbotsford were mostly sunny. You can see a little bit of a cloud cover. I don't know if that's wildfire smoke, maybe a combination of both. And that's probably why his UV reading that day, yesterday, was a little more toned down, because there was a little bit of activity in the sky. Probably wildfire smoke. And that's about the only good thing the wildfire smoke offers is a layer of protection against harmful UV. We need UV, don't get me wrong. We need UVA and B, but definitely don't need UVC. I want to share something with you guys that I've shared that I want to offer some clarity on. I know, and I knew you guys would tell me, oh, these are beams from the ground, these are beams from the ground, these are from a rock concert or something like that. Well, I humbly disagree, and let me explain why. Let me show you what we're looking at here. Some of you, right there. There you go. These beams that you see, and you're going to see more of them here in just a second, but I want to show you something first for perspective purposes. If you look down here at the bottom of the screen, you can see lights over there way, way off in the distance. Okay, that's ground level. If there were lights coming up vertically with this very low cloud deck that you see right here, and those clouds aren't 7,000 to 8,000 feet off the ground, okay? The lights would immediately hit the bottom of the clouds if they were coming from some sort of a specified event that was occupying maybe a football field size. Because most events, like a rock concert or something like that, they're in a football stadium. And a football field is 100 yards long. And the stadium, let's just say for mathematical purpose, it's 200 yards total. If there were light beams coming out of that stadium, they're not going to occupy but maybe 3,000 feet in the sky. There's the ground over there, way off in the distance. These are occupying the entire sky from way over there in the distance all the way back to the viewer. Her name was Karen. She just forgot to tell me the location. These things are coming across the sky horizontally, like this. Not like this. And at times they're above the clouds. If those originated from the ground, there's no way that they would get past the clouds. They would just be absorbed by the lower part of the clouds. And I know some of you disagree, and that's fine. I want you to be independent thinkers. But when I analyze this, something over here to the left is sending these beams of light several miles. Those are covering probably 20 miles. A rock concert's not going to do that. No way. These things are huge. Look at that, then that big burst of light right there. I just wanted to offer my perspective on this. There's that big burst of light. Those beams are big, guys. They're very, very big. I don't know their origin. All I can say is those do not appear to be coming from the ground. If they are, that it's from a point way, way off in the distance, and these things are the biggest lights ever made by mankind. I'm just being honest here. I just kind of flipped it around for perspective purposes. Here's the ground over here. I mean, obviously the ground's right in front of us, but if you wanted to look off in the distance, it's right over there. That would be equivalent to where the lights are coming from, way over here, right? Well, that's how far away. They're farther away than that. So if they were coming from the ground, they'd just hit the bottom of the clouds, and you'd just see them just dancing around a little bit, occupying a small area. In fact, I think I showed an example of lights. Well, I did in another video. I showed examples of lights coming from the ground. These things are doozies. They're very big. Don't know their point of origin. I wish I did. I'm waiting to hear back from Karen, who sent these in to offer some clarity. But they appear to be coming from up in the sky. Or maybe this is a mountainous region, and these are coming from up on a mountain at maybe 10,000 feet. And these things are huge. So I don't know, kind of an enigma. I've analyzed many videos of lights like this in the nighttime sky that are interacting with the clouds. And yes, you are correct. 9 out of 10 of them come up from the ground, vertically. Easy peasy. In fact, it's a easy analyze. It's not hard to figure out. This one here is a totally different sequence going on here. These things are skating across the sky like this. So I just wanted to offer some clarity, guys. That's how I came to that conclusion. Normally, I will say, yes, those are coming from the ground. Not a big deal. Those are kind of a big deal. They're unique. Let's put it that way. They're mysterious. You know, where did they come from? Why are they so big? And what are they doing? Just sending beams out horizontally across the sky, not vertically. Horizontally. What can do that? Was there something parked up in the sky? Look, that's not out of the realm of possibility. I just had a young lady tell me from northwest Kansas. Her name's Jill, by the way. She said she saw a black craft back last year on Thanksgiving, and she wondered if somebody else saw it too on the night of November 21st. And she looked up on one of the networks where you can report, and somebody from Texas saw the same thing on the same night at around the same time. So it was traveling from south to north, from Texas up to her area. Another person saw the same exact thing. So these things aren't really, I've seen 3 just by sheer accident. I wasn't even looking. And like one person said in the report from Texas, that it blended in perfectly, nearly perfectly, with the nighttime sky. And that is true. They match them up color-wise with the nighttime sky color. Perfect. The only way you can see them is when they tilt. And like the person from Texas said, they identified the lights on the bottom of this thing as very dim. They were hard to see, like they weren't lights. And that's exactly what I saw. They looked like ping pong balls cut in half, stuck on the bottom of this thing. They were very dull. It was like you were looking at the inside of it was a large, dark, black triangle craft, and it turned like that. When it turned, I saw it. When it was flat, I couldn't see it. I didn't know it was there. I wasn't even looking for it. I was just sitting there having a cup of coffee at 5 o'clock in the morning. That was the farthest thing from my mind. In fact, that wasn't even on my radar. Are you serious? When it turned, trust you me, I jumped up out of the chair I was sitting in. But not until then. That was my first time seeing one. I'd seen 2 more after that. Looking at the GOES X-ray flux, 1 minute data, looking at the solar flares, there's been really no solar flare activity in the last 7 days. But guys, this is going to change. We're going to see solar flaring activity coming up here. There's sunspots on the Earth-facing side of the sun. They're just not, they don't have any horsepower. So they're not going to produce any solar flares, at least any significant solar flares. It's just not going to happen. It's the calm before the storm. It's coming. Yeah, it certainly is. We're going to see an increase in solar activity. Solar max is not done yet. And we're in the middle of solar max. In fact, here's a look at the Earth-facing side of the sun, and the sunspots are just kind of scattered around. They're very small. They don't really have, again, too much horsepower. The big one is coming right back here. Can't see it yet, but in 48 hours, where we at Thursday, it's going to be Friday again before you know it. I would say by Sunday, we'll start to see the massive sunspot that's turning towards the Earth, and it's changing the frequency of the sun's vibration. That's big. That is big. That is a absolute doozy. Okay, here's the Yellowstone. I'm going through let me see what I got left for you guys. Okay, the Skybeam, Rainier, Yellowstone, Los Angeles, Fireball. We could be in a debris field, but I don't think so. But there has been a significant increase in reportings of fireballs around the world, not just in the U.S., around the world, in Colombia, Venezuela, Mexico, Bahrain, Japan, France, not quite sure where that's at, Canada, and then of course the US, 198 in the US. And again, the meteor shower that we're in, they're not real high octane meteor showers, you know, where you're seeing 20 to 30 meteors per hour, 40 per hour. They're just not like that at all right now. They're minimal, you know, out 1, 2, 3 per hour. And this information can be found over at the American Meteor Society. They're the gold standard for meteor activity around or at least in the U.S. Very good. And if you guys ever see something like a fireball, meteorite in the sky, you can come over here to amsmeteors.org and just click on this tab here, Report a Fireball. It's super user-friendly, and share your experience, and they'll put it on the map here. Like, for instance, right here, there was an event on the 26th. They'll put your location on the map. You can stay as discreet as you want. Just use your first name, general location, where you saw it, time, date. You know, like the same things I ask for whenever I, you know, if you want to send in a photo. Just include your name, date, and location. That's all. First name's great. And general location, if you don't want to put your specifics, that's cool. Jill from Northwest Kansas, she sent me a photo the other day, and that's perfect. I know exactly, you know, within reason. So whenever I do analyze it and I share it, I know the general location. That's all we need, is just the general location. Looking at the Schumann real quick while we're here. Quiet. Look at that. Are you serious? Talk about calm before the storm. This has been quiet too. For 6 days. The last major spike we saw was right around 6 days ago, 6.5 days ago. And that was a spike above 40 hertz. But since then, very quiet. Almost eerily quiet. Eerily quiet. What else are we looking at? Any power outages? I don't know. Let's look. It's somebody. Yes, there are. This is right now. 29,000 outages. And these are outages, not the people affected by the outages, in the state of Georgia. Up in New Jersey, 16,226. Over in the state of Texas, 24,579. Even over in Louisiana, 11,000, almost 12,000 customers off the power grid right now. I'm assuming from inclement weather storms that are starting to get cranked up in the Texas area, Louisiana area. There's power outages in Mississippi, almost 4,000, 2,600 in Alabama, 3,400 in South Carolina. North Carolina, nearly 8,000 customers off the grid, 2,600 in Tennessee, 4,000 in Arkansas. Are you serious right now? 48, almost 5,000 customers in Virginia, 2,500 in West Virginia. So you can see the path. The storms are moving from the southeast up the east coast of the United States right now as I do this video. Consistent with the wild photos sent in by Amy from North Carolina, where they're dealing with power outages right now. This is from the 28th, a big water spout off the coast of North Carolina at Surf City Pier, Topsail Island, accompanied with a lightning strike making contact within 100 yards of the very strong-looking water spout. That wasn't a tornado. It wasn't a land spout. That was a classic water spout, and a classic photo at that. All right, guys, what's going on with y'all today? Y'all doing good? I think I've got you up to speed on all the things that I wanted to share with you guys. Save my note cards. I use these note cards. I'll use them all month long. I'll even use them the first part of next month. But I like to keep the information fresh, you know. Unlike this air is not fresh at all. Nope, it is not. And this dust, it will continue to travel across the Atlantic all summer long, even into the early fall. Absolutely, it will. Hey, Graham, did I get your email? I used the AI to test my theory about the core increased heat by just 1%. Very scary. Read it. Yeah, Graham. Good job. $100 today in Austin. Wow. That's hot. I know it was 100 out here today too. It was very hot out here. You know, it was kind of humid too. We don't really deal with a lot of humidity out here, but yeah, extreme heat warning. Just beautiful. But you know what? That's what we signed up for. Right now it's just 106, and I say just 106 because earlier today it was 109. I think it got up to 109. Yeah, 109 is what it was today. Tomorrow 109. The next day 110. Ay. But hey, we're in the desert. You know what are you gonna do? It's gonna be hot out here. That's just how it is. Yep. All right, guys. Well, listen, I appreciate everybody stopping by. Did everybody become a Star family member that wanted to? The link's at the top. 105 in Texas today. Water spout max wind is 190. EF4 tornado. Yes, they can be strong. You're right. They can be. 102 is not much. You're right, Tad. 102 in Arizona, especially during the summer, like right now, that's not too bad. You're right. We'll take 102s over 116 any day. Oh, yeah, 102 is nice. 109, Phantom. 78 in Kansas. Graham, if the planet is 70% water, that makes the clouds rain. Why is rain not salty? Well, very good. I would assume the evaporation process doesn't allow for the salt molecules to be lifted up into the atmosphere because they're probably a little heavier. I don't know. I have to take off, but great job. Thank you, John Latino. Thank you for the super chat. Give you a thumbs up there. Thank you, sir. That's very kind. 70 in India. Ah, 70's nice. That is nice weather. 70 degrees. 103, Mr. Mead. That's hot. Thank you for the super chat, John. That's super cool. Thank you, Polenta, everybody, for the super chats and the new Star family members. 120, Tad, is high for Arizona. I can remember it being 122 at one time. That's like scary. It's like, okay, is it going to get cooler? I mean, it takes a while. Once it reaches 120 like that, it takes several days for things to cool down because everything gets, equally as hot. The roads are hot. Houses, the roofs of homes are hot. 79 in Vancouver, Washington. Now, that's nice. That's nice. Way to go. Good for you. Hello, Jesus Team A. Stacy, Dusty, Sandy Shell, 79 in Vancouver. Very nice, Sandy. Mother Nature is a giant distillery. That's why no salt. Bones Jones. We'll have to ask why it doesn't rain sea salt. I think it's because of it says it stays in the ocean due to the balance out of the melting ice sheets, nature's balance. If the salt stays in the oceans, does that balance out the melting? Well, sometimes it does. Unless the oceans are getting stirred up like they are down in the South Ocean, they say that it's stirring up carbon off the seafloor. And the combination of the carbon and the sea salt and the fresh water that's melting off the ice down in Antarctica, it's creating what you would call a quagmire. You know what I mean? It's kind of got things messed up down there. 110 in Texas. Oh, man. And you guys got humidity in Texas. Wow. Barb, Area, and Thomas Spivey, 69 in Washington. Squim, Washington. Now, that's a nice day. Good for you, man. 69 degrees, 91 or 91 in Dayton, Ohio. Today, 71, 110. Rick in Texas. Man, that is hot. 87 in Montana. Not bad. That's a nice day. You betcha. You're welcome, John Smith. Yeah, the power outages are widespread from Texas all the way over to the Carolinas and up into Virginia. A lot of power outages. Let's update. A lot of states affected. Even though they're not highlighted in yellow or orange, the only reason they become a certain color is if they're over a certain amount. Like yellow is 10,000 plus, orange is 50,000 plus, and red is 100,000 plus. We only see those colors like the orange and red is if there's been a very strong, what they call derecho move through the area. Hurricane landfall doesn't normally get up to red. I mean, yeah, we've seen many states red before, but usually on the heels of a derecho for sure. 93, Sandra in Hera, Washington. 95 in East Washington. 105, the Grifter Shifter in Dallas, Texas. 105, Graham. The ice sheets are losing 10% of its area. Why doesn't the crust rebound? I know, that's called isostatic rebound, Graham. I studied that many years ago, isostatic rebound. Because I asked the same question with regard to earthquakes, because land masses that are covered with thick sheets of ice that are thick, I'm talking several hundred feet thick, that's a lot of weight. Well, when that all melts off and the ground becomes saturated and the water kind of washes away, well, that weight's not on the ground anymore. So if there's stress fractures underneath that ground in that part of the world, wouldn't that allow those stress fractures to move, creating earthquakes? Isostatic rebound, that's something that you can look up. I've studied it many years ago. It is a thing. It is a real thing. 92 in Florida. Stacy, that's a nice day. Yeah, good for you. 60 in Ireland. That's even better. 60, Dave Huston. 60 in Ireland. Boy, that's like jacket weather, right? That's good. 112, Stargazer. 77 and nice in Nebraska. Good for you. Graham, thank you for making me seek knowledge. You got it, Graham. Yeah, check out isostatic rebound. I studied that like, I don't know, it's been a long time ago. I've studied a lot of things. 110 degrees in Mobile, Alabama. But isostatic rebound is interesting. It is. And it's an interesting study. And it kind of gives you perspective on water weight and the evaporation process. And you know, maybe that's why that earthquake was up near Greenland, you know. Maybe the absence of ice in that area has caused the ground to free up and move a little bit. All right, guys, so we got the UV. We talked about possible hotspots coming up in the next couple of weeks with regard to earthquakes. I'm saying Kamchatka, the same location that we're seeing earthquake activity now. That's obviously there's going to be more earthquake activity there more than likely today, tomorrow, the next day. This is going to keep reverberating earthquakes over there for the next several days. And again, the buoys out here are still showing signs of activity. Normally after a big earthquake, I can't say normally because an 8.8 obviously isn't normal. But like say for instance, after a 7 or a 7.5 or something like that out here in the Pacific, which is known for its big earthquakes, okay? Local buoys that feel the energy will be tripped. They'll normally only stay on for a solid, and it's always a solid 24 hours. For these to still be going over 48 hours after the fact, that's significant. That's significant. So that tells you that the Pacific Ocean is still reeling from the very powerful 8.8 that was the sixth most powerful earthquake in that region in the last 125 years. There was actually a 9.0 there back in 1952. 9.0. So that area is no stranger to big earthquakes like the Bay of Alaska up here, the Gulf of Alaska. That's home to the second largest earthquake, I believe, ever recorded. So yeah, this area is known for earthquakes. As you can clearly see, this is the USGS earthquake map, active earthquakes, and they're nonstop up here through central Alaska. I remember when I first started following the earthquakes many moons ago, I thought this was an anomaly. I couldn't believe how much earthquake activity there was through central Alaska. And it's always been like that. It's always been like that. But I can also remember a time when there were no earthquakes in the Portland, Seattle area. None. Now, as you can see, they're all over the place. So things have changed. The earth changed. It's always going to change. It's changed just in my lifetime since I've been studying the earth and the sun and the cosmos. The earth has shown me a lot of changes since I've become observant and I pay attention to what's going on around me, especially with the earth. Yeah, I've seen a lot of changes over the years. A lot. And we're probably going to see more here soon with regard to more earthquake activity and more volcanic activity. There's a lot of volcanoes right now just up in the Alaska area that are active. I believe I counted over 50 that are active up in the Aleutians alone. Where is the... I've got so many apps up here. It's actually unbelievable. There we go. Here's the active volcanoes right here through the Aleutians. These are the Aleutian Islands. It's a chain of islands that extend south and west from Alaska. There they are. And here's the active volcanoes. All the ones that have the exclamation mark with the orange circle. These are all the active volcanoes. I counted them earlier and there's over 50. And the exclamation mark represents recently, right here, indicates a volcano is recently active. Not like 100 years ago or 10 years ago, recently. So it's a very active place. Probably get more active here in the coming days. Wouldn't surprise me at all if we don't see a large volcanic eruption somewhere around Earth as the solar activity increases here over the next couple of weeks. So at least 10 days. All right, guys. I think that's all I have for today. I really do. It's been a pleasure. I want to thank everybody for stopping by. SpongeBob's Pineapple, Beans and Frank. What's up, Beans and Frank? Darth Sayla. Stacy Sayla and McCarley. Cooler temps in Arkansas. Good for you. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. There's Mount Rainier, 1,180 earthquakes and counting. Are you serious right now? Close that one. Closing some tabs because I've got so many open. There's the supervolcano. And there's our super sand plume traveling 4,000 miles. Yay. Like I said, I'd rather deal with a foot of snow than all that sand. That is unbelievable. Hey, Graham, I read something today about ley lines, position of planets, and how they line up with Mount Shayton in a week or two. I'll check that out. That's something I do pay attention to also is planetary alignments. Planetary alignments can influence earthquake activity on Earth. I've followed that field of study many years ago, and there is some merit. It has merit. There is some truth to that. So the position of the planets, the Earth, and the Sun. You got to factor in the Sun, and you have to factor in the Moon. You can't leave the Moon out because the Moon has a constant gravitational influence of the Earth. So believe it or not, all the planets here in the solar system, where's the solar system at? Right here. They're all connected. They believe it. They're all connected. Like, oh no, Jupiter's, 500 million miles away or whatever. That's small. That's a walk in the park. Are you serious? They all connected. I guarantee it. They all connected. So yes, just know that they're all connected. Polenta R Forest. Have a great day, Polenta. Thank you for the super chat and the number 2 crown. That's very cool. Thank you guys for stopping by and hanging out with us today. I'll be back on tomorrow. I've got a lot of material to share with you guys. I'm working on some really cool stuff. So you want to check out tomorrow's live stream. I'll come on tomorrow a little earlier, probably around 2 to maybe 3 o'clock. Shouldn't be any later than 3. All right, guys, that's all I got for today. Thank you, guys. Thank you once again, Polenta. Thank you, moderator. Great job as always. Thanks, everybody. Have a super day and be safe out there.